watching The Breakdown with the fight analyst Garrett Kerman.
And welcome back to another episode of The Breakdown. I'm your host, the fight analyst Garrett Kerman. With me, as always, is my man, the MMA professor himself, Colin Crandall. What's up, man? How's it going?
All good, brother. Glad to be back here with you, man. Basically, if anyone went with our advice last week, they fucking cleaned up. Tell them.
We absolutely. We had a sensational weekend of fights last week. I personally swept the entire board. We're talking Bellator, swept. We're talking about UFC, swept across the board. We absolutely smashed it. And UFC 272 is on tap. Insane fight card. Jorge Masvidal, Colby Covington, the grudge match, Rafael dos Anjos, Hanano Moicano. This is a great fight card. Barbosa, Bryce Mitchell. The list goes on and on. But how are you doing, my man?
Doing great. Yeah, I didn't end up doing any Bellator picks or anything else, but yeah, you and me together here absolutely killed it on the UFC. I mean, just like literally, except for Misha Serkinov blowing it, we just like,
And he was winning. He was winning that fight.
And he was winning, and we weren't really that heavy on him. We did throw out that I threw out that I hate to pick fights with two guys who are losing as much as they're winning. And you and me both said, who knows what's going to happen? We thought Serkinov, but other than that, every other fucking thing that we hit, that we picked, we hit. Yeah. So we're gonna try to do a similar thing. I mean, like a lot of times, we not on purpose, but usually anywhere from like 65 to 85% of the time, Garrett and I end up on the same side. And when it's a higher percentage, when we're together on like at least 75 or 80 some percent, then we normally absolutely kill it, because that means our consensus is the same. But even when we're only together on 65%, at least one of us kills it. So we're basically doing great, or we're doing very good at worst.
Absolutely, man. I mean,
which is what people will do if they jump on and watch us.
That's what we're here for. We're here to make everybody money. That's what that's what we love to do. We love to break down these fights and eventually put money in your pocket. And that's what we're here to do tonight. UFC 272 on tap. Great fight card. Let's get started. Why don't we? Why don't we?
Do it.
Right now, let's start. I'm just getting up my odds. I'm a little laxy-daisy. I totally forgot to do it. But all right, our first fight up on the prelims is a fight in the light heavyweight division between Dustin Jacoby and Michael Olejniczak. And right now, Jacoby, I believe, is about a -200 favorite, and the comeback on Olejniczak is a +170 underdog. What you got in this one?
Love this card. I've interviewed Dustin Jacoby, the Hanyak, I think 3 times on the MMA Power Hour every Tuesday night on the Hannibal TV on YouTube and Facebook and my own personal file so real cool dude. The Hanyak. His grandmother gave him that nickname when he was being wild and crazy with his brother. I'm not sure what language that is, but that's how he had the nickname. She would say you're like a couple of wild Hanyaks or crazy, Hanyak. Anyway. Double tough dude, really talented, really skilled, 33 years old, 6'4", which is still tall for a light heavyweight, and really talented dude. Other than a draw against Ian Cutelaba, he would be on a 7-fight win streak, but he's still 6-0-1 in his last 7 fights, killing it and beating some pretty darn good people. Look over to the Michael Oleksichuk side, and this dude is tough. This dude is undersized at 205, at 6 feet even, and just not that thick a guy, but he's really skilled and really tough. Poland tough. I have some relatives from Poland, a lot of tough people, very pretty girls too. A lot of people don't know, but he is on a 2-fight win streak. He had lost pretty convincingly.
He's on a 2-fight win streak, but in reality, in reality, he should have lost to Bukowskis.
Yeah, that may have been kind of a good decision, really close. Anyway, so bottom line is this should be a banger because Oleksichuk likes to bang. I just think the odds are correct here. Oleksichuk is a double tough dude. He, he's still in a pretty good position even with a loss, although I'm sure he wouldn't want to have one. But dude is 4-2 2 and 1 draw in the UFC. That's not bad. Better position to lose would be Dustin, but don't think that's going to happen. It's going to be an exciting fight. I think Alexichuk may have his moments, or he may not. Just big on the Hanyak, Dustin Jacoby all the way.
Yeah, I'm all over Jacoby in this fight. I mean, it's tailor-made for him. This is literally the same exact fight as the Allen fight. It's the same exact fight as the Stewart fight. It's the same exact fight as the Jan Kuchalaba fight, except those guys are much more dangerous than Olajaychuk. I mean, Jan Kuchalaba couldn't even get him out of there. He beat the dog shit out of him in the first round, and he weathered the storm, and then he beat the shit out of Kuchalaba in rounds 2 and 3. I mean, beat his ass. So, coming into this fight, you got Olajaychuk, and he is a simple striker. He's coming in there and he's throwing hands. He's just going to throw hands. He doesn't throw kicks. He's straight up boxing. And I feel like, that pretty much goes into the wheelhouse of Jacoby. I mean, he's an extremely skilled kickboxer. I think he was at Glory Kickboxing and fought guys like Alex Pereira. Mind you, he got finished by Alex Pereira, but I mean, he's fighting guys like that. And now he's going against Olajaychuk here. I just think he doesn't have it. I mean, he's got power, but I feel like Jacoby's going to be able to keep his distance. He's going to be able to stay at range, at distance, and just use his length. I mean, he's got super good leg kicks, which won't let Olajaychuk just come forward and press forward because he's going to be eating a ton of leg kicks. And then Jacoby just going to be able to outstrike him and out counter him on the feet as he's coming forward, like he's done in his last 3 fights. Actually, like he's done in all of his fights. Where it gets, where I would not bet against Jacoby is when he's going against, guys that are able to mix it up a lot. Guys that could take him down, and guys that have good cardio and can take him down. Guys that got serious power on the feet. I don't think Olajaychuk has that crazy of power on the feet. We're talking like Alex Pereira is the last guy that has finished him. And he's fought some pretty, powerful strikers in Glory Kickboxing as well as in the MMA. And none of those guys have finished him except for Alex Pereira. So you have to be on the level of Alex Pereira when it comes to KO power to stop this man. I don't think Olajaychuk has that kind of power. Other than that, he's got a puncher's chance, but that's it. I mean, strike for strike, Jacoby's going to be able to outstrike him pretty handily. And I think minus 200 is fine. I don't think he's going to finish him. I think it's going to be another decision like Allen. And I got decision last time at plus 200. I'll do it again. I'll take Jacoby by decision at plus 200 again every single time. Yeah,
I like it. Although I think there might be a finish, but I like Jacoby. Let me react to our one of our guys in the room here, one of our fans, Alex Bambamov. I'm going to call you Bam Bam. So our good fan Bam Bam, tough guy, he's put his money on Michal, and my advice would be take your money off Michal. My advice. But then again, I don't have a crystal ball, and I've been known sometimes to be wrong. So it is what it is. Thank you. I'm glad you appreciated that one, Bam Bam. And then our other guy here, Darren Keith Mayer, DKM, I'm going to call him. DKM has come in here and give us some props. Always great picks right now. We appreciate it. And we're glad both of you guys are here. Really appreciate you guys a lot. All right, Kerm, continue with the next one.
Yes, moving on. Next up, we have a fight in the lightweight division, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just pulling it up right now. Between Devontae Smith and Lunavin Klein. Right now, Smith is a minus 155 favorite to come back on Klein's a plus 135 underdog. You got this one.
All right, now I've interviewed Devontae on the show as well, once or twice, I believe. He's known as King Cage. Devontae Smith, 28 years old, 5'9", 155, 11-3 record. Casey looking really good, and now all of a sudden, like, damn scroll, it's not working. Anyway, he did get caught by Kama Worthy, but then Kama did go on a pretty good winning streak as well. But anyway, so he's coming off a loss to Jamie Malarkey. Malarkey's a beast. Malarkey on this fight card, Malarkey is legit AF, as the millennials like to say. So this is a tough one. Kama Worthy and Jamie Malarkey both beat him. There was a 2-year gap or a year and a half between fights for Devontae Smith. He's still really young, but he's got to get back on the winning track. Right now, he's 3-2 in the UFC, but his 2 losses have been more recent. Lunavin Klein came in as a big favorite and shit the bed against Nate Landwehr, got choked out. He was losing anyway. He lost to Michael Trezano. He's 1-2 in the UFC. So his back is against the wall as well. He's also young, 27 years old, 5'8", 145. So this is
short notice, up a weight class.
Okay. So then, that's not probably good for Mr. Klein. So I would lean toward Devontae, but I don't want to. I don't want to put money because you're giving chalk on that, right? What's the odds once you get
minus 155.
That's not a ton of chalk. I'm not going to make that one of my official picks, but I lean Devontae Smith if anyone's really wanting to force me to make a comment on that fight. I do think that the circumstances favor Devontae Smith.
Yeah, I agree there. I think this is it's gonna be a good fight. It's gonna be bomber, and both guys are gonna come in there and throw it down. Klein's gonna have his moments in this fight, but I just think Smith is more athletic. I think he's faster. I think he's crisper on the feet. I think he packs more of a punch as well, and I do think he has a takedown defense to keep this fight on the feet at range where he has a 4-inch reach advantage as well. I think it keeps it simple. Just keeps him at the edge of his punches and just counters him with heavy right hands as he's trying to come into range and possibly get a takedown. But I got Devontae Smith getting back on track and getting the knockout as well.
I like that. By the way, blood diamond in the house. Michael Cook, the South African in Australia. Good to see you, my brother. Hello. What's up? Welcome to the room. Only the best of the best are here, and whether it's 3 people or 300, we know we got the best guys in here. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. All right, moving on. Our next fight up is in the flyweight division between Tim Elliott and Taguire Ulambekov. Right now, Ulambekov is a minus 240 favorite, and the comeback on Tim Elliott is a plus 195 underdog. Who you got?
Tim Elliott is such a rugged, tough guy, man. I wish he was I wish he was either younger or in a higher weight class, because as most of you guys know, the heavier weight class you fight at, the longer shelf life there is. Someone at 35 is not really much out of their prime at all at light heavyweight or heavyweight. But someone 35 at flyweight is way out of their prime. But Tim Elliott is such a rugged, tough dude. He's over there with James Krause at Glory, and just whenever you count him out, he comes back and surprises you. I heard someone on a different show that I watch occasionally say that Elliott just keeps beating guys that aren't that great, but when he faces someone really that good, he doesn't win. I don't know if I'd agree with that. He's coming off a loss to Mateus Nicolau, who is a very tough guy. Before that, he beat Jordan Espinoza and Ryan Benoit, and then he did have a little bit of a losing streak. But look who his losing streak was too. Before that,
so
David
that person's not wrong. I mean, he loses to elite competition.
Right, like the best of the best.
Right, but he doesn't beat the best competition.
Right. So Taguire, who I'll just call Tiger Ulambekov, is 30 years old and is 2-0 in the UFC. He beat Bruno Silva. He barely got by Alan Nascimento with a split this past October. But Nascimento is he's a pretty tough guy. I think Elliott's live here. I think that with 2 UFC fights and 1 a split decision, I just don't know if Tiger is really proven himself that much. This will be a test. He's from Dagestan, so he's got that in him. His loss was against Zalgas Zamagulov in a majority decision, and Zamagulov is a pretty tough guy, but not a killer. But then that was earlier in the career. For me, this is a dog or pass fight, and I'm going to say this. I will not make Tim Elliott my official pick here at all, so I won't take credit if he wins or loses. But I think he's got a pretty decent chance. I think there's some value on Tim Elliott, and that's the way I'm leaning. But I wouldn't make it to the betting, betting, whatever the hell you call it.
The betting window.
Betting window. Thank you. You get old, you forget some shit like windows. Yeah, won't make it to the betting window almost for sure. But I think Elliott's live here. Curious to see what your thought is.
I think the higher ceiling is with Unbekov. He's more so in his prime than Tim Elliott is right now, and he's pretty seasoned. 14 wins, 1 loss. He's got Dagestani blood in him, so you know what you get from hard-nosed grappler that will beat you up on the mat. It's what he does. It's what he's good at, and that's definitely what beats Tim Elliott. A very good grappler, a good control grappler. Tim Elliott gets taken down a lot. He's very opportunistic when off his back or for guillotines and other types of, submissions off his back. And then he's very good in his scrambles. But if you keep him flat out on his back, he's pretty much done there. He gets controlled and gets beat up and eventually finished. I don't think he's going to get finished, but I do think he gets taken down, and he'll spend a lot of time on his back just trying to get back up. And I just don't see him being able to stay off the mat. I do think he has a pretty sizable advantage on the feet because he's very, unorthodox. He uses a ton of movement. It's really hard to pick up where he's throwing his strikes from, different angles. It's very hard, and it'll be hard for Unbekov. I don't think he's, the best striker. He's very, straightforward, straight punches down the pipe, very just basic, so that, serviceable on the feet, so that he can get in the clinch and take you down. But with Tim Elliott, I think he's, that unorthodox style would, give a lot of fits, but he has to keep it there, and I don't think he's going to be able to keep it there. So I have Unbekov winning this fight. I have him win by decision, and I like this fight to go the distance at -150.
Gotcha. Our man Bam Bam really believes in Taguire, and he put his car note on it, and Habib is in his corner, which is always a plus.
This man, you gotta know about our man Bam Bam. He loves his Russian fighters. He loves his Dagestani fighters.
Makes sense.
This guy will bet everything on a Russian fighter
because he's got the OV. He's got the great OV at the end.
Exactly. Anybody with the OV at the end or any Namagamedov,
and it makes sense. You got to support your boys. And so we'll see what the Tiger does here. If the Tiger is in the tank, then the tank is going to perform. But we'll have to see. I'm not sold yet. After this, I probably will be sold on Taguire, the Tiger, Unbekov. But as of now, I think it's a scary fight because Elliott's so scrappy.
He is.
So I just no official pick on that one. But the more I think about it, probably Taguire probably should win on the fight. But Elliott's so gritty, and the guys at
I just don't like the line. -240 is like, what I mean?
Yeah. There's no money on Unbekov there. So,
All right. Moving on. Next up, we got a fight in the featherweight division between Brian Kelleher and Umar Namagamedov. Right now, Namagamedov is the heaviest favorite on the card at -850, and the comeback on Kelleher is a +575 underdog. Who do you got?
When you said opportunistic, it triggered memory in that line of the great 1989 classic rap video "Bust a Move," where the young MC says, "Women are materialistic, opportunistic, laying on the beach perpetrating a tan, so the brother with the money will be their man." So,
all right.
So that's for some information right there for some old school Generation X rap, Lay it on the beach. That's what women are doing, right? Laying on the beach perpetrating a tan, so the brother with the money can be their man. But hey, God bless you. Anyway. Let me see what we got here. We got the vote on Umar. Man, oh man, Bam Bam, you may be doing the dog paddle in the lake there on the boat. I don't know. No, I'm kidding. In this situation,
I bet my vote on Umar. I mean, he's -850. What are you gonna win?
Yeah, he wants to.
He's gonna bet his boat, and he's gonna get a little one of those safety boats on the side. That's what he'll get.
Absolutely. Well, Umar is known for having a great sense of humor. And you always like a guy with a good sense of humor. So let me take a look here. He came in with Habib behind him. I don't even have to look at this fight. Kelleher fought for a long time. Wait, is this at bantamweight or featherweight?
Featherweight.
That's what I thought. Kelleher's a bantamweight. He's fought at featherweight before, but in all honesty, even though Umar only has one win in the UFC, he's a tough dude. He's a finisher. I think is he the cousin? I think he's the cousin. Yeah, of Habib. Brian Kelleher fighting upper weight class at 35 years old.
Well, I mean, Umar's also a bantamweight. They're both bantamweight.
Yeah. Although these guys cut hard. These Dagestani guys cut a lot of easily.
Yeah.
He's off two. He's off 2 wins. He lost. He got owned by Ricky Simone, and then he's coming up with a win again over Bingo Malarkey and
Kevin Kroom on short notice.
Low-key good fighter, and Kevin Kroom on short notice, who was a low-key good fighter. It's the odds are merited here. I mean, Kelleher's a scrappy guy, but yeah, he has no business beating Umar Namagamedov. There's no money to be made at all, and there's not even really money sticking to someone at 8-1 odds like that in parlay fees. But yeah, Umar without much of a question.
Yeah, I got Umar winning this fight as well. It's really hard to go against him here. You know where you're getting from Taguire Unbekov. You know what you're getting from Umar Namagamedov.
Yeah.
Just an insane grappling pace that he's going to put on, Kelleher. Kind of like we saw in Ricky Simone, more of the same, except much better control on the mat. Ricky Simone is not the best control wrestler. Umar Namagamedov is a very good control.
If Simone can do that, thereby Umar should really be able to.
Right, exactly. I don't think he's going to get the finish. I mean, I could be wrong, but I really do like Umar Namagamedov to win, by decision at plus 100. I think we get a decent line there, and I like this fight to go the distance at minus 150 as well. I think Kelleher is tough enough to not get finished, but I just think he just gets dominated.
I'd be careful on that one because Kelleher has been finished several times in his career. He does have 12 losses, but he is scrappy. I see your thoughts here. I just, I think he may very well get finished, but I wouldn't go as far as to make it.
I mean, it's definitely possible. I feel like he's good enough on the mat to not get subbed. Well, hopefully he doesn't. You know what?
You're normally really good on these props, so I value what you say on that.
Well, let's hope this one cashes. I'm hoping we stay true to that.
Exactly. So Blood Diamond thinks he has about a little bit better than a 5% chance. No, a little bit worse than a 5% chance. And needs a fluke punch to win it. Yeah, Nurmagomedov by submission says the Blood Diamond.
Well, I'm hoping for that decision prop to hit. So let's hope for that. Let's see that.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Here we go.
Moving on, we have a fight in the women's flyweight division between Marina Moroz and Maria Agapova. Marina Moroz and Maria Agapova. Right now, Agapova is a minus 180 favorite, and the comeback on Moroz is a plus 155 underdog. Who do you got?
Well, Moroz sounds a little bit like morose, which is like kind of depressed and down in the dumps. So hopefully you know what? For the fact that she's Ukrainian and there's war launched on her country by Russia, she probably is a little depressed and angry. She looked angry. She probably really wants to jump on the mic after the win and make a statement. Apparently, these two used to train together. And
they have a little bad blood between the two of them.
Yeah. Moroz is 30 years old. Been in the UFC for a minute, hasn't she? She came in 2015, and she's got a winning record in the UFC. She's 2, 3, 4, 5, 5-3 in the UFC. Obviously, being 6-3 would be a lot more impressive than 5-4. So this is somewhat of a pivotal fight for her. On a 2-fight win streak, she did beat Sabina Mazo and Mayra Bueno Silva. Very legitimate win right there. And she's tough, double tough. 30-year-old flyweight, 5'7" from Vilnius, Ukraine, fighting with a lot of pride and passion in this fight. Her opponent, Maria Agapova, the Demon Slayer, 24 years old. Wow, really young. I fade every fighter out there.
I don't know if you want to fade. I don't know if you want to fade this one.
I think I do. I think I do. They both fought Maza, although Agapova stubbed her. Agapova looked like garbage against Shauna Dobson, who super low key can fight herself.
But look at the improvements from fight to fight. That's what you want to see. You want to see the massive improvements after a big loss like that.
Right, I know. And she has one fight, though. To me, that's not enough of a sample size.
Well, I mean, she looked like a completely different fighter. I mean, she took the time off. She changed camps. She's now working with a different team. She's getting more one-on-one work, which is helping her. You know, being in such a big team atmosphere in American Top Team, you know, you don't get the one-on-one work that you should to, you know, progress. That's like Colby Covington. That's why he's as good as he is, because of, you know, getting that one-on-one work. But going on.
Right. Yeah, and they're both American Top Team, you know, so former training partners from the same place. Level of competition, huge difference. Huge difference. Look who Moroz has fought. Carla Esparza, Valerie Letourneau, Angela Hill, Mayra Bueno Silva, even Danielle Taylor is tough. And Agapova has basically fought one low-key good fighter. No reps, scratch that. She fought one good fighter and she lost.
But who has she fought at 125 though?
Just Mazo?
Mazo and Bueno Silva, that's it.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
She's a career strawweight.
Yeah, you mean Marina? Yeah. I hear what you're saying. So it's going to be a hell of a fight, and I am not going to make a pick on this fight, but I'm leaning toward the Ukrainian Marina Moroz. I think it will be a good fight, but I just think that I think Moroz is going to be too good for her. Don't like betting on people 24 years old in the UFC. They lose 75% of the time.
Makes sense. 60% of the time, it works every time. Remember that.
There you go. I love it.
We got Michael Cook, the Blood Diamond, saying Agapova should win this. The last fight, she looked brilliant, cardio improved, heaps in, and chose when and when not to take her shots. It was like a completely different fighter in there from Dobson fight. Agapova also has power. That is all true. Very true. This is going to be a good matchup because I know these two really do not like each other. These two want to go in there and really hurt each other, kind of like our main event. So I think it's going to be a very exciting fight. These two girls are going to throw down. Agapova, I think she definitely has the volume advantage. I think she's better technically sound on the feet. She's got more power. She looked great in her last fight. She was composed. She kept her cardio in check. She made sure that she didn't overexert herself either. I do think she has the submission threat on the mat if it goes there. I think she has a little bit of a power advantage as well. And I just haven't been so impressed with Marina Moroz in her time. She's got some good boxing. She's aggressive. She'll come forward. But like against the Mazo fight, I mean, she didn't really outstrike her. I mean, she just came forward. She landed some heavy shots, and then she got into the clinch and pretty much controlled her up against the clinch. I don't think she's going to do that against Agapova. I think she's going to get hit a lot, and I feel like she's going to get put out at some point. It's not a fight I really want to bet on, but I do think Agapova gets it done. Also, Marina Moroz hasn't fought in 2 years. So there's that ring rust, and the ring rust with, the heated animosity between the two. I don't think that's a very good, combination. You want to go balls to the wall because you want to hurt this person. Yeah. But you also haven't been there 2 years. You can gas yourself out in the first round thinking you're just going to steamroll her. So
that's true. I got an interesting statistic, though. Sorry to step on your words, Garrett. When Agapova wins, 90% of the time, she finishes her opponent. Moroz doesn't get finished, ever. Not been finished.
Right. Ever until
Till now, we'll see. DKM had that great statement about 60%. The Black Panther, yeah. And then they got the Blood Diamond with what he has to say. Here's what I would say. Here's what you can tell your Aussies back there in Australia. My good friend Michael Cook Blood Diamond, tell him that I'm spreading the word that we don't like to drink Fosters as much as they let people know in America. So we're making sure that everyone hears that out here, mate. Make sure you let them know, all right? Good. See, that wasn't the bad accent. There you go, Blood Diamond. It didn't sound like a leprechaun as much this time, did it? Or did it? I practiced my Aussie accent. You know what I mean there, mate? Gotcha. Got it right on. Thanks. Straight away, mate.
All right, moving on. We have a fight.
Move on there straight away, Kermit.
We have a fight in the light heavyweight division. Yes, the light heavyweight division between Namagamedov. Oh, so bad with his name.
Yep.
Namagamedov, thank you.
Yep.
And Kennedy and Nzechukwu. I got that one right?
And Nzechukwu, yes.
Hey, I got that one. All right. So right now, Nzechukwu is a -140 favorite, and Namagamedov is a +120 underdog. Who do you got?
I've interviewed Kennedy a couple times. Really, really nice man. Really nice man. 29 years old. Still super young, just like in the beginning of his prime for a light heavyweight. The man had like no amateur background. He pretty much starts out his third fight ever. He's in the Contender Series. Paul Craig did catch him, but that aged well. Paul Craig catches everyone. And then he did have 3 good fights in a row. Came in against Young and did get caught with that elbow and then some more elbows. He really wants to get back on the winning streak. He had a 3-fight win streak before that. He's a very, very tough guy. Big man at 6'5". Nikolai and Nega Moreno I think Nega Moreno out of Brasov, Romania. And he is 2-1 in the UFC. Lost this Perbek Safarov, and then did beat Alexa Kamer barely, and then did beat Isaac Villanueva, a low-key impressive fight and victory. Kennedy. I think Kennedy beats the fucking brakes off him in this fight. I don't see this going the distance. Nikolai might have his moments. I wouldn't bet my house on this, but gotta believe big man Kennedy and Nzechukwu out of Fortis MMA lays the smackdown on the Romanian Nega Moreno.
I think I agree with you there. It's not a bet that I would go and bet a lot of money on, but I think it's gonna be a good fight. Two guys are gonna go in there. They're gonna throw down. They're they're gonna come and look for the knockout. I think someone's getting finished. We know that much. We're definitely gonna get finished there. But yeah, I think Nzechukwu. I think he's got a little bit more. I think Nega is gonna try to take this fight to the mat. I think Nzechukwu definitely has the better striking abilities. I think he's got the more power as well. So I'll go Nzechukwu. I don't think this fight goes the distance, and I like the under as well. Under 1.5, a +135. It's not terrible. +130. I think it could go under. I think it's a fight that could definitely go under, especially at plus money. I'll take that as well.
Yep, definitely. It's weird that it is plus money. Who's thinking this fight goes the distance? I don't know. Anything's possible.
Next up, we got a fight in the strawweight division between Marina Rodriguez and Zhaonan Yan. I guess Zhaonan
Yan. Yeah.
Okay. Right now, Rodriguez is a -275 favorite in the comeback on Yan is a +220 underdog. What do you got?
I guess she is going by Rodriguez now. Normally in Portugal, Rodriguez.
Portugal
would be Rodriguez in Portuguese, but I'm hearing a lot of people announce her. Even Joe, I think, is Rodriguez. Maybe she requested that to make it easier for American audiences. The Blood Diamond is fading Rodriguez, and I don't blame you. I think there may be something to that, but let me break it down. She is a killer, stone cold killer. She lost a close one to Carla Esparza. If it weren't for that, she is an undefeated fighter. Her record now is 15-1 with 2 draws, and her one loss was a split against the beast that is Carla Esparza. She is a badass. She's got low-key ground skills, but they're improving. And then she's got seriously great striking skills. Unique woman. Her nose is kind of odd to me with the way her nose is shaped and kind of a little bit of a scowl. She looks like she's smelling something bad every time I see her. I don't know how I can do that face because my nose is not that way, but it's always like, it's like, what the fuck am I smelling? But, I think she's just a badass. She's a straight out badass. And she's just, she's smelling blood in the water, I think is probably what that's about. Level of competition. Brenda Marcos, who is tough and durable. Jessica Aguilar, who 2019 was toward the end of her career, but very, very crafty. Tisha Torres is a great win. Draw against Calvillo. Barely lost to Carla Esparza, and then just laid the smack down on Amanda Ribas. Fought a good fight against a very legit experienced fighter in Karate Hottie Michelle Watterson, and then just dominated Mackenzie Dern in a fight that I think Dern was slightly favored. So no doubt, at 34 years old, she's getting a little old, though. She's getting a little older. I hate to say it, but if they make her wait for more than another year for a title shot, she may just start to lose some reflexes. Zhaonan Yan, from a country that is our enemy, China. So I do think that the cheering for the Chinese fighters is going to be low key compared to what it was many years ago, because they are indeed a true enemy of the United States. So the fighters, you can't blame. I think anyone that wants to hate anybody from any country based on what their government does is way fucked up. Zhaonan Yan and the Chinese fighters fight with a lot of pride and a lot of honor and courage. So no hate on them at all. But it is kind of interesting that, there was a while a few years back where we were, they gave Wei Li Zhang the win that in my opinion, Joanna Jędrzejczyk clearly deserved, and it had her head blown up to a balloon, and then they give it to the Chinese fighter. So I don't think that shit's going to happen anymore. I don't think any judges are going to be giving benefit of the doubt to the Chinese fighter like they were before all this shit went down. Anyway, that stated, the Fury, Zhaonan Yan, is 32 years old, a little bit shorter. She did get stopped by Carla Esparza. In fact, Carla beat the brakes off of her. That wasn't a good look. Before that, though, she beat Claudia Gadelha. She beat Karolina Kowalkiewicz. She beat She beat Angela Hill and Shuri Kondo and Viviane Pereira is a good win. And Kaylin Curran, although I felt Curran beat her. I was at that fight, I believe. But anyway, Rodriguez should win this one, but it's gonna be a fun one. I think it's gonna be a fun fight. The odds again, Garrett Kerman look to be what?
Minus 270 plus 220.
The Blood Diamond may be on something. Onto something. I'm glad you see the nose has that skull. You love it. I love it. And I call that right. It's just Jan could win this fight. Because of the odds, I would go dog or pass. But man, Marina Rodriguez is a freaking beast. But unfortunately, I picked my spots really, and by doing that, a lot of times the best I can say is that I'm like 6-0 or 7-0 on a fight card, maybe 8-0, whereas Garrett can say he's like 12-0 on a fight card or 13-0 because he will be a little bit more, a little bit more non-committal on a few of these fights than Garrett. But anyway, that's a good blend. That's what we have. But yeah, again, no action on this fight. Won't make it to the betting window. But I think Jan is live. Got a chance. Don't think she wins, but I'm not gonna. No bet on this. There's just no money to be made on Rodriguez either, and I think she probably will.
Yeah, I'm actually liking the dog here at Zhaonan. I think she's a gamer. She is. She's going to bring the fight to Marina Rodriguez. She's not going to be the one backing up. She's going to bring the fight to her. And this is going to be the first time that someone's actually going to be in her face throwing shots versus having to, defend takedowns, and get back up and be the much, much more superior striker. For majority of her fights, she's a much more superior striker than her opponents. in this fight, I don't think she's the much more superior striker here. I just don't. I think I think she's a little bit better. Don't get me wrong, but I think Jan is like up there with her. I mean, she's got the pace, she's got the pressure, she's got the volume, and maybe she's working in some takedowns here because she's training at Team Alpha Male for this fight. Maybe she might bring some takedowns into this fight and just throw shit, out of a loop. Because maybe Rodriguez is thinking she's coming in and she's gonna do what she normally does and strike, and then she mixes in some takedowns. The only thing I don't want for it to happen when she's doing that is to gas out because she's going for takedowns and her volume doesn't, it doesn't stay the same. So I'm hoping, she mixes in them here and there so that it keeps Rodriguez, honest. It keeps her from just going in there and brawling. But ultimately, at the odds, I would not line Rodriguez at minus 275. If I were to line this, I'd probably give it minus 170, minus 180.
Yeah, it's a bit of an overlay. It is a bit of an overlay.
So I think we're getting value here on Jan. So I'm taking her, and I'm taking her to win plus 220. I'm throwing a half a unit on because decent odds. So fuck it, I like it.
Yeah. Now, Blood Diamond Michael Cook, try not to bet more than 1,000 South African rand on this fight. I know you might like to put the action there back in South Africa, but then you're going to wait forever to get the payout. So no more than 500 rand on this one, I would suggest. Let's see if you agree. Anyway, Garrett Kerman, continue with this. Let's push forward, and our special guest actually coming in the next few minutes. So
yes, sir. We got a very special guest. All right. Moving on to our featured fight on the prelims is a fight at 155 pounds between Jalen Turner and Jamie Malarkey. Right now, Turner's a minus 150 favorite. They come back on Malarkey's plus 130 underdog. Who do you got?
Man, Malarkey's tough. Malarkey will tell people that you say I'm full of Malarkey. The Malarkey fist will be the last thing you remember because Malarkey is a badass. He did have a hiccup against Brad Riddell. No shame in that. Riddell's a beast. Even though he did lose, because he has still a great record, body work, very tough dude. Fares Ziam, a loss there. And these were actually the first two fights. Man, talk about not giving a dude.
That Fares Ziam fight, he won.
Yep.
Let's be honest.
I think it was a close fight, yeah. So after barely losing to Ziam and losing his first fight to Riddell by decision, he laid the smackdown and stopped Kama Worthy in the first. And then he stopped Devontae Smith in the second. He's a tough dude. 5'8", 155. I tend to think he's more like 5'9", even, give or take. But he's 27 years old, 14-4. Jalen Turner, I've interviewed 2 or 3 times on our show, the Tarantula, 6'3" at 155. He is tall, and he's got that tarantula power. Lost to Matt Favola, who we've interviewed several times. Lost to Vicente Luque, but there's no shame in either of those, especially the Luque loss. Luque is a killer, and Favola is very tough. Luque was his first. How do you put someone against Vicente Luque in their first UFC fight? That's insane. But anyway, he has done very well. He beat Josh Kulabau, beat Brock Weaver, and beat Earl Smedic. I don't think any of these guys are still in the UFC, but maybe one of them. But anyway.
Yours is.
Yeah, I think you'd be right. This is a good fight. This is a very good fight. 26-year-old Turner against 27-year-old Malarkey from Australia. Damn. Geez, this is a close one. I'm gonna go.
It's a hard fight to call.
It really is. I'm gonna go. Jalen Turner. I'm so scared on this fight. You know what? I'm gonna go Jalen Turner as my official pick, but like a half a unit or a quarter of a unit. But this is a great fight. I think that the violence is going to be the winner in this fight. Both of these guys can and will finish people. What's the under? What's the over and under line and then the odds?
The over-under is set at 1.5.
Minus
160. And we got a special guest right in the green room. Would you like to announce our guest?
Yes, our special guest. So happy to have him on the show. A super exciting UFC Bantamweight contender out of the American top team, Mr. Tony Gravely. Welcome to the Gravely, Tony Gravely. I caught myself. Tony Gravely. There we go. But I made the save. Tony Gravely, so glad to have you there, man. I really appreciate you, brother.
No problem at all. Thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, you actually caught us in the last breakdown of the prelims. Jalen Turner against Jamie Malarkey. So we'll include you into this. I made my pick, although I really was tempted to say no pick on this one because it's such a good fight. But I gotta lean toward Jalen Turner. Do you want to be next?
Let him go.
Garrett, or do you want to think about it for a minute and have me go to Garrett next?
No, I agree. I think Jalen Turner. I think he's probably the more technical athlete and more athletic of the two. Malarkey, he's a grinder though. He's tough. So, but I think Jalen's just gonna be a step ahead. I think he's probably faster, a little stronger, and he's a longer fighter, and he knows how to use that range. So yeah, I think Jalen Turner is gonna get it done with the finish.
Gotcha. You think it'll be by finish if you had to be by so. Of course. Okay. Garrett Kerman?
Yeah, no, I think the same. I mean, he's a better, like you said, better athlete. He's bigger, longer. Malarkey has not had to deal with such a guy as tall as Jalen Turner. It's going to be very hard to really deal with, very hard for him to really, reach his head. And I think he can actually get a submission win. I think he could get it to the ground, and actually his submission skills have really progressed in his time in the UFC. He's gotten better and better and better. We've seen that. And I think he's going to really exploit some of the weaknesses on the mat for Malarkey. I think he gets it done inside the distance as well.
And I don't want to drag this one on too much because I know we have a limited time with Tony, but let me ask Tony's thought on this and then Garrett as well. That's an interesting call that Jalen could possibly submit him, but Malarkey has had 18 fights, 14-4, and no one's ever submitted him. Tony, would you think that that's probably a sign that maybe the better bet would be not to think he gets submitted, or do you think Jalen Turner could be the first guy to do it? I think it makes that proposition a little scarier. What do you think, Bill?
I don't think it's out of the question. I think if it does get us in the submission, I think it will probably come from maybe Jalen dropping him or stunning him with something and maybe like catching his neck in a guillotine or something. Because now that I agree that Jalen Turner, his grappling has gotten better. So I think that he's good at mixing it as well. So a lot of guys that start to seem like they go from striker to grappler. Well, as far as meshing those two, a lot of they start to get finishes by hurting their opponent first, and then they jump on a guillotine or whatever submission they can get a hold to after they drop and stun their opponent.
Absolutely. Makes sense. Good thought, Tony. All right, Garrett Kerman, get ready
for main card. Sir. Finally up to our main card. Our first fight up on the main card is in the heavyweight division between Sergey Spivak and Greg Hardy. Right now, Spivak's a minus 195 favorite, and the comeback on Greg Hardy is a plus 165 underdog. We're going to go to Tony. Who do you got in this fight?
Tony Gravely, let's hear your breakdown on this. How do you think it plays out?
Is it Spivak? Is that how you say it, Spivak?
Yeah, I think it's Spivak.
I think I have Spivak on this one. I think that obviously he's going to look more of a grappling approach. And we know that Greg isn't going to want to grapple, but I think that it's one of those things where as long as Spivak can get his hands on him, he can wear him a little bit. He may be in better shape than Greg. Saw where Greg he cuts. I think he said he cut like 30 pounds, which isn't quite as big as much of a as severe as it would be on a smaller guy, but that's still 30 pounds in a day or so is a lot for anybody, and I think that the later the fight goes, I think that Spivak's going to hang on him a little bit, and he's either going to take him down and hold him down, or he might catch him in some kind of funky submission. But I've got Spivak. Good.
Sounds good. Good analysis, Tony. Spivak came in at like 242 or 3, I think. Hardy just made 266, and he was cutting. I think a week ago he was 290. Some people are saying,
no, a couple hours ago, that man was like 290 pounds. Like,
it was a little bit of exaggeration, but yeah. But
that guy was crazy.
Tony, I hear you, Tony. Though, do you think at heavyweight, if one guy has like a 30 or 40 pound advantage, but some of it being because he comes in at 280 against another guy who's 240, they're both big men. Is that going to really make much of a difference? In your opinion? I know you don't think it will because of Spivak, but should we worry about that, or is that not really as relevant as some people are trying to play it up?
I would say if Hardy was more of the wrestler, it would make a bigger difference. But he's not a wrestler. I think he's going to want to stay on the outside more, and he moves a lot for a big guy. So a lot of movement with a lot of weight. Unless that's something that he does all the time and he does really well with, but. Again, when you've cut 30 pounds, and I know for a bigger guy it isn't as severe, but that much weight, and then rehydrating, he may feel a little different. And I don't know how much of that, just because you're bigger doesn't mean it's better if it's not good weight. It could be cake, donuts, chicken, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know how good of a big it is, so. But I don't think it is a benefit, much of a benefit from a striker as opposed to a grappler.
Makes sense. Garrett, you want to go next, or should I? And then you go last.
No, you go, man. I'm always going to go last.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good. So Sergey Spivak, 27 years old, and his opponent, Greg Hardy, is 33 years old. We know that for the heavier weights, 33 is not old. Basically Hardy's could be still considered around his prime. And the heavyweight division being 33 years old, I think Tony would agree. Hardy's back is against the wall, though. He's got 2 losses in a row, and he's got barely a winning record. Actually, no, he's 3-3 and 1 draw in the UFC. So this loss would officially give him a losing record in the UFC. And at 33 years old, I just don't know where Greg Hardy would go with that. I think that unfortunately it is going to happen, but I think Hardy's going to fight really hard not to make that happen. He seems like he beats guys that are kind of low-key good fighters, with all respect, because even though low-key good fighters are, I'm stating that, they're way better fighters than I ever was. So I always want to throw that out there with respect to the fighters. But it seems like Hardy has beaten guys that are not necessarily going to be ever in the top 10 or contenders. And then the guys that are, he doesn't beat. Spivak, as a really young guy, got into the UFC really young. His first fight in the UFC when he was, 23 years old, was against Walt Harris, who was on fire. That, you know what I mean, Tony? Sometimes you look at that and you're like, damn, what a terrible first opportunity. You know what I mean? He was a young guy. Oh, here, your first fight is against Walt Harris, who's won like 4 in a row, right? But after that, he came in, he submitted Tai Tuivasa. So as with a lot of these Eastern Bloc guys, he's got some grappling. And he's out of Moldova, just like he and Kupalava and a few other guys. He did lose to Marcin Tybura, but no shame in that. Tybura rattled off like a 6-fight streak. Then he beat Carlos Felipe, Jared Vanderhaar, and Alexei Olenek, and then just did get dismantled by Tom Aspinall, who's been pretty much killing everyone that's in front of him, right? So off of 1 loss is the younger guy Spivak. Off of 2 losses is Hardy. They both really want to get back on the winning track. I think it's going to be a good fight. I think Hardy's going to give everything he can. But I think the ceiling is higher for the younger man, Sergey Spivak. And I just think Spivak is going to want this a little bit more and is going to have a little bit more to give. So I got Spivak, and Hardy's been finished twice in a row. So I think this fight will probably not go the distance, and I think Spivak probably stops Hardy. Garrett Kerman, let's see if you make it unanimous or not.
I mean, it's I think it's pretty straightforward. It's Greg Hardy round 1 or Spivak rounds 2 and 3. I mean, I don't think Hardy's going to be able to do much outside of round 1. He's got some serious power. He's extremely athletic. He's getting better and better. I mean, he almost finished Tai Tuivasa before he just lunged forward after hurting him. That's where like being a seasoned fighter comes into play. I think maybe he'll do a lot better. If he hurts Spivak, he won't go bum rushing him, and maybe he'll just wait for him to like come to him and then finish him that way. But I think it's round 1 or bust. And Greg Hardy round 1 plus 550. I would like to throw a little bit of money on that because you're getting almost 5.5 times your money on the chances of him getting a round 1 knockout. It's definitely possible. But then if he doesn't, you can live bet Spivak after round 1, and that's pretty certain he's gonna drown him with grappling after round 1. I mean, the dude needed an inhaler in between rounds at one fight. So
I know. They're Boston.
I mean, if this guy needs an inhaler, he ain't going past round 1. So
yeah, probably right. Did you ever spend any time, Tony, real quick, around Hardy at ATT when he was there? Or did you never really see him?
I think he actually, when I first moved down, he was there for maybe about a month or so, maybe a little over a month. But not long. I would see him in some of the classes and stuff, but he left shortly after I arrived. So I would see him, like pass him, but never really got to like talk to him a lot and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Appreciate it. All right, Garrett Kerman, take it away.
All right, next up, we got a fight in the welterweight division between Kevin Holland and Alex Oliveira. Right now, Holland is a minus 400 favorite in the comeback on Oliveira's plus 300. Tony, who do you got?
I think I've got Holland. Holland's, he's still got some hype behind him, which, doesn't necessarily mean anything, but, he's the younger fighter. He's the more athletic fighter. I think Oliveira is a little older. I think maybe getting near the end of his, career, definitely not in his prime. And I'd say Kevin is, around his prime or getting close to. So, I think he's going to be more aggressive. He may be longer. His arms, at least. I know he's got a long reach. Oliveira's pretty long too, but I think Oliveira's obviously going to want to grapple him, want to hang on him, but it's going to be hard to close the distance. For one, because Holland throws a lot of straight punches too. So I think that's going to help out a lot. But I think the speed and I think his accuracy. I've got Holland for this one.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tony. Holland is a good dude. I've interviewed him on the show about 3 or 4 times. His manager and friend, Justin Adams, is a friend of mine. He was right there with him. Weigh in 170 for the 6'3" Kevin Holland, but he looked good. And in fact, let me ask you this, Tony. If someone looks really bad at the weigh-ins, it doesn't always mean their performance is going to be bad. But if someone looks really energetic and healthy, then that usually is probably a pretty good sign that the weigh-ins were okay. Do you agree?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, some people can put on a front, but some people you can tell is genuine. But right. And some people could be, sucked out and still just have energy. Some people are naturally more energetic than others.
Makes sense.
Kevin Holland's really outgoing, so he may be one of those guys that he could be feeling like death and still be just as energetic and talkative.
Yep, very, very, very positive, very possibly. But yeah, this seems like a Kevin Holland spot. He's almost a 4-1 favorite. Cowboy Oliveira is coming off of 3 losses. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets cut after this. He is 34 years old. Kevin Holland's supposed to be 4 inches taller, but it didn't really look that way in the weigh-ins. It looked like it was maybe a 2.5-inch height advantage, but there's definitely height and reach for Holland. Cowboy Oliveira has seen better days. Wow, look at this interesting thing. He's got 2 wins sandwiched in between 6 losses. Cowboy Oliveira. He's lost 3 in a row. He beat about a split decision against Max Griffin a few years back, and I felt Max won that. And then he beat a guy named Peter Sabata, and then he lost 3 before that. But he's all been against tough guys. You know what? Oliveira's going to try. Oliveira really needs to get back on track. Only way he wins, though, is that if this somehow was a really, really bad weight cut for Kevin. I don't think so. And not only that, but Kevin at 6'3", 29 years old, he could be a threat in this welterweight division. And, he's been practicing his grappling. He's a black belt jiu-jitsu. Practicing his wrestling and takedown defense because, as we know, that was a problem. One is a problem against bigger men, So, yeah, I think this is Kevin Holland, as they say, like coming out party as a welterweight. And I think he's going to send a message to the other welterweight contenders without a doubt. Not much money to be made, but official pick with confidence, Kevin Holland, and put him in a parlay. Bet him straight if you want to make a tiny bit of money, but parlay piece is probably the more economical way. But yeah, I don't see Kevin losing the fight. Sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident in Kevin Holland's abilities here, especially at welterweight. I think that's where he should be all along. He's looked great on the scales. He's jacked. He's ripped. He's ready to go. And I expect him to do very well in this spot. Oliveira's going to get hit a lot. He's talking about he wants to, throw down. I don't think, Kevin Holland will have a problem with that. I think he's going to hit him in the face a lot and eventually put him out. Kevin Holland's going to look good at 170. I think he's going to be a top 15, ranked fighter very, very soon. This is his weight class. He's going to look good in this fight, and I expect him to get it done. I got him early in the week. I think Monday at minus 265, 285 around there. Now it's a little crazy, but I think he gets it done inside the distance. I think he finishes him within 2 rounds, so he gets the job done here for sure.
Good call.
All right, next up, we got a fight in the featherweight division between Bryce Mitchell and Edson Barbosa. Right now, Mitchell's a minus 155 favorite, and the comeback on Barbosa is a plus 135 underdog. What do you got, my man Tony?
I've got to go Edson.
Yes.
I'm a little biased because Edson's my teammate, but honestly, man, I think Edson. Edson's a dangerous striker. He's explosive. He's quick, and just the way Bryce Mitchell fights it's more than likely it's going to have to be 15 minutes of good defense until he gets his hands on them, and then it would more than likely be a decision. But with that being said, you got to spend 15 minutes in there with one of the most explosive and dynamic strikers in the featherweight division, in the UFC in general. So, that's the dangerous stuff. So I think Edson, obviously closing the distance is going to be an issue. Edson's got some good kicks, amazing kicks. And Bryce is going to have to avoid those while coming in, as long as Edson's hands too. So, I think, like I said, Edson's better overall, and I think it's a huge step up in competition for Bryce, and I think Edson's going to win.
Yep, I like that too. 145, one division above you, Tony. Level of competition is worlds apart. Edson has fought absolutely everybody, and he's beat some of these really good guys. Everyone remembers him losing to some amazing guys, but he's beaten some really good guys too. Very, very tough guy. He's a guy, his kicks are some of the best in the organization. They're just killer. His hands are not bad, but it's unusual that there is a big discrepancy that his kicks are way better than his hands. Sometimes I think that is what some fighters that beat him kind of figure out. They kind of go in there and they're like, okay, if we're in kicking distance this far, here, we're not going to do good. But if we're here, there's no room for Edson to kick. And if there's no room for Edson to kick, he's no Floyd Mayweather or Canelo with his hands, But the guys that Bryce Mitchell has beat, I thought Mitchell was submitting a lot more guys. He really isn't. A lot of guys are going the distance with him, but he's a really good grappler. He's actually not a bad wrestler, and he's got good grappling skills. I think, what did he have that? Didn't he have that twister? Yeah, he got that twister on Matt Sales. But other than that, in the UFC, he's not submitting anybody. He's an interesting dude. I mean, they featured him a lot in the UFC embedded. Like he's this old country boy over there from Arkansas that seems like he's a pretty decent dude. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people kind of point out the country boys, all these rednecks, and if someone's a redneck, they're hateful shit, fuck them. But this is not that guy. This is just a good old Southerner who loves his animals. He believes in farming and traditions, and he's doing a Native American spiritual thing with his friends, and he's like a good kid. He does. This is his stiffest test for sure. If he gets by this, I mean, if he gets by this impressively, then that's really proving that the man's legit.
We got a training partner, Bryce Mitchell, on the podcast right here.
Oh wow, Bam Bam trains with him. Nice.
Yeah.
He trains with Bryce. He ain't let me down. So yeah, Bryce is tough, Bam Bam. I agree. But the bottom line is that this is a huge test. Not only that, Edson really needs this win. And you know, let me ask you, Tony, real quick. If someone really needs a win like Edson, I know that needing something doesn't automatically make you good enough to get what you need, but sometimes having the motivation, I would imagine, even at a high level like you guys in the UFC, sometimes just having the desire and the motivation and when something's so important, I think it can bring a little bit extra out of a fighter, don't you?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you know, in any given day, you know, a lot of fights in the UFC, especially you know, at the top level, you get a lot of guys, and you know, fight could go one way one day, and you could fight the next week, and it could be completely different. You know, so and there are different factors involved. You know, but motivation's key. You know, fighting, I think, in my mind anyway, is, you know, about 85 to 90% mental, you know, because we all know a lot of the same moves. We have the ability to, you know, train these moves and possibly get better. And, you know, if we peak at these things, and, you know, we're all pretty much the same, you know, we have the same opportunity of training, things like that, et cetera. Everyone's body's different, but, you know, if someone's a more skilled fighter, and another person's almost as skilled or not even that close, but their mind is super strong, that guy, you know, has just as much chance of winning, you know. But with that being said, Edson also is, I see him in there every day, and he works just like, I mean, he's nonstop working. When you see him, if he's not in the class working, like in our group sessions, he's like doing his own thing. I've seen him on the Stairmaster for like an hour straight. He just goes on the stair climber, like the
Nice.
Versa climber. That's what you call it. On the Versa climber for like an hour. That's not an easy thing to do.
No.
Just doing a Versa climber in general for little intervals is hard, but I've seen him work hard, and you know, if the motivation is the deciding factor, I don't think Bryce is going to have that advantage either.
Yeah. I got Edson here. Scary going up against a 14-0 fighter. So I wouldn't bet huge amount of money. Like, I'm not as confident in him as I am in Kevin Holland fight. I really think Kevin Holland, you know, but there's not much money to be made on that. But yeah, I think Edson can win this fight, and I think I'm going to officially pick Edson. I just think the experience is going to come through with the desire. Herman?
Yeah, no, I definitely have Barbosa as well. Underdog, you know, it's hard not to take him here. You know, Mitchell, you know, he's looked great, but his best win is Andre Fili. He's been out for over a year. He's got to come back with that ring rust against arguably the best opponent he's ever faced his entire life by a good mile and a half. I mean, he's never faced a striker as powerful as Barbosa, someone who's as strong as Barbosa. Barbosa has great takedown defense, great submission defense, and he's going to be firing kicks that Mitchell has never seen ever in his entire life. Those leg kicks are going to be thunderous. Those body kicks are going to be hurting him. Yeah, and then you got those head kicks that are be coming as well. Yeah. So he's got everything that he's got to look out for. Then you look at Barbosa, his strikes and his punches got a lot better too. His straight punching, his punching power. Yeah. His punching power is stopping people. I mean, he's gotten so much better, and technically he's only lost one fight. I mean, the Ige fight, he did not lose. So
I agree.
And then the Felder fight, he didn't lose either. So technically, he's like what, 5-1 in his last 6 fights. Yeah. And his only loss is against the number 6 or number 7 ranked featherweight in Giga Chikadze, and who would do the same exact thing that he did to Barbosa to Mitchell.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Mitchell's a great fighter, and I like him. You know, super nice guy, but I just think this is too much for him right now. And then you look at who he's training with. He doesn't have the best of training partners. No, I'm not saying anything to Bam Bam over here. He's a cool guy, but his from what I've seen in his camp, his only UFC level competitors, someone who could train with him is TJ Brown. You know, you look at Edson, he's got a plethora of UFC fighters all around him. I think that's going to only get him better, you know, over time. And, you know, I just think all these things are adding up. I mean, is Mitchell on the same wavelength as Khabib when it comes in terms of wrestling? Is he in the same wavelength as Makwan Amirkhani? Guys that really, I know Khabib obviously had great success there, but Makwan Amirkhani, who is a decorated wrestler, he has the accolades. I mean, Bryce Mitchell's not a D1 athlete. He's not a state wrestling champion. He doesn't have all these accolades as a wrestler. So he's a good grappler, don't get me wrong. But I just think he's going to have a tough time here being able to take him down, hold him there, submit him, and then on the feet, he's not winning the fight at all. So he pretty much has to drag it to the mat, keep him there, and win. If not, he's going to have a hard time at the office. So I'm taking Barbosa as an underdog here, and hopefully he gets the win for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was thinking – sorry, I mean –
No, go ahead, Tony.
I was thinking the same thing. Khabib was the last person to do. We obviously know what Bryce's game plan is, and Khabib was the last person to do that. And it's a big difference. We don't know the difference in the because we can't match the two for real. But we know what Khabib's level of grappling is. It's way up. We've seen him do it to everybody. So, I don't know. I don't think Bryce is going to be anywhere on that level. But Khabib still. It took him a lot of time to get to Edson, and Edson actually landed some clean strikes, but Khabib he's hard-headed, man. He's got a chin on him. He landed, he ate kicks and he got a hold to it. I'm not sure if, Bryce, he's going to have just as hard a head, just as good a chin in order to get himself in the situations like that in order to win.
I agree. Now, Tony, we had a set where you had to jump out in about 5 minutes, but we got just the co-main of the main. Can you stay if it's 5 minutes extra?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Cool. Really appreciate it. Appreciate it. Okay, Garrett.
Let's keep it moving. All right. In our co-main event, we have a fight between Rafael dos Anjos and Renato Moicano at 160-pound catch weight. Right now, dos Anjos is a minus 190 favorite in the comeback on Moicano. It's a plus 155 underdog. Who do you got? Tony.
Got another ATT guy. I mean, I'm going with Moicano. It's hard not to have confidence in people that you see every day and you watch them work hard and you watch them excel against other athletes that we watch excel in the UFC. So Moicano is hungry, man. He's had, he's been dying to fight. He went out, he fought, he put on a great performance. He voiced how he wanted to get paid more and how he wanted, to fight. And he got they tried to call his bluff with with this, and he said, "Yep, I'll do it." So nice. He's out there. He's motivated. We talked about that. The mind. He's motivated, and Anjos is. I think his last win. His last fight.
2 in a row. He just came off the win over Alexander Hernandez.
Okay, and I think Dos Anjos?
No, I'm sorry. That was Moicano. Okay. RDA just came off a split decision win over Felder where he wrestled the shit out of him.
Okay. Yeah,
that was almost 2 years ago, year and a half ago. Go ahead.
So yeah, I mean, I think Moicano's got the better striking. Dos Anjos has great striking. I think Moicano's slicker, and Moicano can grapple and he can wrestle. He's maybe for sure one of the best, maybe the best. Luckily, I've never had to go with him because I'm a 135. So even when he was 145, I didn't have to go with him. So I'm glad. But I hear people tell me their nightmares about him and how good he is. And he showed in his last fight. So I think Moicano can win this. I think he's better, and I think he can out-grapple him and out-strike him. So I'm going to go Moicano.
Gotcha. This is such a weird fight because RDA was supposed to go up against Rafael Fiziev. That fight fell off, and like a week's notice or 6 days, 8 days, I forget what it was. They bring in another Brazilian, and Brazilians. It's not like the sport was 20 years ago, where 70% of the fighters are Brazilian, right? Mm-hmm. Then they had to fight each other. Now, only maybe 20% of the fighters are Brazilian, 25 maybe. And they really don't want to fight each other, But these two guys don't know each other. Like RDA said, we're not friends, but we just don't know him. I don't know this guy. You have a man who was at 170 for a few years going up against a man who was at 145 for a few years. Now, if MMA math always added up, then you could say, of course, the guy who was at 170 wins, but it doesn't. We know in MMA, 2 + 2 doesn't always equal 4. Yep. The more experienced guy is also 5 years older, and that's a lot. 37 years old against 32 years old. The older guy is also shorter, but he is probably a thicker man, being that he felt he had to go to 170, whereas Moicano was at 45. However, I think Moicano probably should never have gone to 45. He was like a skeleton at 45. At 5'11", he's just too big a guy for that. And back at 55, he's looked really good. 2 second-round rear naked chokes against Jai Herbert and Alexander Hernandez. And he's fought recently. He just fought. Wait a second. Moicano just fought less than 4 weeks ago. Less than 4 weeks ago. Wow. Yeah. That's good though. That's good. I don't. This is a crazy fight, Jim. I'm scared of this fight. RDA is a thicker guy. RDA is a former champion.
You just don't want to pick against Moicano here because we got a guy.
I don't want to get
so go ahead.
I know. In all honesty, this is going to be a really good fight. This is a very important fight. Yes. There's more time left in the career of Moicano for sure. He's a really good jiu-jitsu guy. How often has RDA been subbed? Let me look here really quick. So lost by decision, 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 TKO by Eddie Alvarez.
You need to go on Capology. Stop going on Sherdog.
Yeah.
Sherdog is so asleep right now.
Yeah. He's never been. RDA's never been subbed because I think he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt as well. So it comes down to can the younger, taller man throw hands good enough and stop the wrestling takedown. It's gonna be a great fight. I don't know. I think I'm gonna go.
Moicano has good wrestling as well. He just fought Alexander Hernandez and beat him. And Hernandez is a wrestler. He is a wrestler.
That's right.
He took him down. So
I don't think RDA is gonna be the one looking for takedowns here.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But I think he can go anywhere. But I think grappling would be the bigger advantage. His offensive jiu-jitsu and grappling would be.
Yeah, I think you could be right. I've got to go RDA on this, but I'm not certain, and I would bet maybe half a unit because Moicano really could win. And I'm hoping your guy wins it, Tony. Because your teammates, you guys work hard. ATT is a great team, but I got to be honest. I would go RDA just by a little bit, but I think it's going to be a really good fight.
I guess I'm going to be the bearer of bad news here, but I'm going to go with RDA over Moicano. I just think he's just a little bit better everywhere. I just think if Moicano maybe had a full training camp for this fight, it would be a completely different story. You're talking about he had to cut 20 pounds in about, let's say 3-4 days or so.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you, Garrett, real quick. The extra 5 pounds, I think, Tony, we may also be feeling benefits RDA, who's had a hard time making 55, whereas Moicano was at 45. But it probably is going to help Moicano too. Anyway, Garrett, continue. Sorry.
RDA was kind of ripped making 160 as well. That dude
really
was
strong.
Pretty damn chiseled. But anyways, I just think, he had to do the travel, the 18 hours. He didn't get in a ton of time at American Top Team because he was in Brazil. So I just think these little bit things are kind of like adding up. It's hard for me to back him against arguably the toughest competition other than Rafael Fiziev at 155 pounds. I mean, you're talking about the former lightweight champion, definitely levels above Alexander Hernandez, levels above Jai Herbert. But I think he's going to go in there. I think he's going to have a lot of success, especially early on. It's just whether or not he can get the finish. I mean, he hasn't seen rounds 4 and 5 in I don't know when he's last seen rounds 4 and 5. And especially on short notice, he just fought. He had to cut a lot of weight. He had to do a lot of traveling, and he just add and add. But if he can, he's definitely live for a finish in rounds 1 to 3. But if RDA is able to get him past that point, I think he kind of could take over. Plus, RDA normally doesn't get submitted. Moicano has no knockouts in his career, which is really surprising because he's his striking is actually pretty good.
It is, yeah.
His striking is very good. So I'm really surprised he has no knockouts. I mean, his leg kicks are phenomenal. He knows how to use his reach and his length very, very well. So it was very surprising when I saw that. But I
just like submitting people. That's probably what I thought.
It could be, like I said earlier, could be a lot of his submissions could have come from striking. I haven't seen every one of his fights, but there could be some earlier ones that I haven't seen that maybe he dropped them and then finished them with submissions. I mean,
definitely possible. Absolutely. I mean, because his striking, from what we've seen, is very, very good. So when I just saw that, I thought that was a little surprising. But like I said, I just think RDA is a little too seasoned to lose to someone on just a couple of days' notice that just fought. And he's in shape. He's been getting ready for physio for like forever, at least like 4 or 5 months at this point. He's like, fuck, just give me anybody at this point. He was ready to fight Islam until Islam just said no. He was ready to fight Islam at 170, giving him even more of an advantage and not letting him cut weight. But, I just think he gets it done here. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see what happens, but I just got RDA in the spot.
Yeah, and we could be wrong. We know Tony. I know Tony has faith in his
guy. Wrong.
Okay, here comes the main. Should I take it away, Garrett?
Take it away, my man.
It's time for the main event of Saturday evening UFC 272. We are live with the Vegas odds, the fight analyst Garrett Kerman, Colin Crandall, the MMA professor, and the awesome UFC Bantamweight contender and future champion, Tony Gravely. And we are live, ready to talk about the opinion for the main event, Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal, two former teammates and best friends from the American Top Team. Can't wait to break this down. And Garrett Kerman, you know which way we should throw it for the start. But before we do, love to have any thoughts you have about these guys. I know you don't have to give inside knowledge if you don't want to, but Garrett's going to throw it to Tony. And before you make your picks, love to hear any thoughts you have about these guys as far as what ATT and what your thoughts, anything you can share. Garrett, you want to throw it to Tony?
Yes, sir. All right. Colby Covington is a -335 favorite to come back, and Jorge Masvidal is a +260 underdog. My man, Tony, who do you got?
Yeah, so this is very, very interesting fight. I think Colby I think he left like right before I moved down, and but I know Jorge, and Jorge's really cool. I've talked to him a bunch. He's a really cool guy, and I like Jorge. I've always liked Jorge's fighting style. I like Colby's cardio, but I think if you look on paper, it seems like it's completely one-sided. It's gonna, if you looked on paper, you would say, Colby Covington, but you got to factor in the hating somebody and wanting to hurt them really bad. It could be a pro and a con to that. It could be you go out there and fight too emotional, and it messes you up. But I'm pretty sure that Masvidal's been in plenty of fights and probably fought a lot of people that he didn't like. Maybe not in the UFC, but he's got experience fighting. I don't think that part is gonna make that big of a difference. And that being said, I think Colby's only chance of winning is going 5 rounds and grappling. And I don't think that he can outstrike Masvidal. Masvidal's dangerous on the feet. He's got to get kicks, got to get punches. So, it's going to be probably going to be the typical striker versus grappler. But, I think I'm a little biased, like I said, but, I think Jorge's going to win. I would love to see him win. I hope it's devastating. Would be the best time to have something really devastating happen. So, I'm going to go with Masvidal.
Gotcha. So I've got some questions for you, Tony, that I'm going to give my opinion. So these guys knew each other. Masvidal's 3.5 years older. So a friend of mine said, in a way, Masvidal kind of may have been like a big brother because he also had more experience by far, and he was older, and he may really, in the early days, have been kind of like a big brother influence on Cody and a lot of Colby, sorry. And a lot of times your big brother always beats your ass forever, unless you're a professional fighter and your big brother isn't, then it doesn't happen. But there's that. But then the fact is that Masvidal fought at 155 for quite a while. Now, it is when he was younger. I think by the time he was 32 or 3, if not younger, he did jump up. And a lot of times men get thicker at that age anyway. So the bottom line is we could say a 20-something Masvidal fought at 155, but a 30-something Masvidal didn't. So that could kind of equivocate. But Colby Covington would never fight at 55. He couldn't. You'd have to take off a leg. So he's probably a little bit of a thicker man, even though their height is the same. What I want to know from you, Tony, is that a thought that Masvidal fought at 155 and that Colby's a little bit of a bigger man? I want to answer that, but then one other thing, that is Colby going to be necessarily a little bit bigger man or maybe not? And then the second thing is, can we look at the Usman fights? They both fought Kamaru Usman twice. Can we get anything out of that fight? And if so, obviously we'd be having to make Colby kind of the Kamaru Usman side and Jorge himself. And because Colby is a really great wrestler like Usman, they're different in other regards, but they are really pretty close in talent. I know not a lot of people want to admit that, but the first fight was really close before Colby got stopped. Second fight, some people felt Colby won that fight. Can we look at that and make comparisons and say, well, Usman beat Jorge twice and Colby is kind of enough like Usman that we should see the same thing? And the third question to you, Bo Nickel has been in there training with Masvidal. I think for the Usman fight, he had only been with him, I think, for a month or 2 or maybe 3. Now he's been with him for a full year. And can a guy like Bo Nickel make an older fighter like Masvidal still be able to raise his game at all, a little bit, a lot? So those are a lot of questions, but I want Tony's opinion, and then I'll share my thoughts. Final.
So I'll start with the first one with the weight. I think Masvidal is a thicker guy. He's thicker. When he was at 155, I think he's a lot proportionately bigger. It's been
bigger.
Enough time to where he put on weight to where it would even out to where he's not necessarily a small welterweight. And I don't think Colby's a very big welterweight either. He may look big, but I don't think he's that big. He's not. He's fit and he's got good sized muscles, but he's not like a super stocky guy to where he would be way bigger. So I don't think the weight's going to be much of a difference. The weight would I don't think the weight's much of a difference. As far as the fights go with Usman, it's kind of hard to do MMA math, which we talked about, just because one fighter did this way against another fighter and, trying to match those two up. But, Colby's fights with Usman were very close. I think the wrestling, they didn't really engage in any wrestling. It was mostly a striking affair because they're probably pretty even on wrestling. A lot of times if it's really even in wrestling, some wrestlers don't even want to go there because it can be super exhausting to deal with that. So, and as far as Masvidal's fights with Usman, I think, the first fight they had, that's probably going to be the approach that Colby's going to try to go to win. The clinching, just staying close to him. I don't think Colby's going to want to do much striking, especially if he thinks he has it. We know that he's, more of a wrestler. So, I think it's probably going to be a lot of clinching and stuff like that. I know Colby's, he's talking big, like he's going to do this and that, but I really think he's going to go in there. He's going to fight smart. That's one thing Colby does. He runs his mouth, but he does fight smart fights. He's always puts himself in a situation where he's always in the fight where, he doesn't put himself in bad position. So that's one pro he has about him. And I think that, the last fight with Usman and Masvidal, I think that was kind of a fluke. I don't really see that. Not that Usman can't knock people out. I just don't see that ever happening again, But, the approach, I think that Colby is going to kind of press Masvidal like Usman did the first fight. And like I said, and like you said, Bo Nickel, that definitely having someone like Bo Nickel will help a lot. Bo a fantastic wrestler, fantastic college wrestler. I think he's a 3-time NCAA champion, maybe 4. I can't remember. But having somebody like that, and Masvidal, somebody that's willing to learn. So just because he's older doesn't mean he won't learn. If anything, it means that he's going to learn, because you kind of see where he's kind of had a turnaround in his career where he's getting better, and it seems that he's using more using more MMA mesh together. So I think it's definitely gonna help him out a lot, and hopefully when they get in those clinch positions, which I'm sure they will, I think it's going to help him get out so he can get back to his striking.
Makes sense. I really appreciate that insight. Yeah, it's interesting. They have a similar ideas, interestingly enough, politically. They're both kind of like right conservatives, right-leaning conservatives. They both don't believe in the cancel culture. They don't, they're kind of like free speech type of cool, dudes that are kind of similar in that regard, but doesn't matter. It's going to be a really good fight, man. Like you said, on paper, it looks like it's all Colby Covington. If Jorge loses, it's going to be, at his age, a question about where he wants to go from here. A lot of the haters are going to be jumping in the internet saying, give it up, man, dude.
He just got a new multi-fight deal that's like one of the top in the entire,
Yeah, which is great. And it's interesting because maybe the UFC has a lot of confidence he's going to win this fight, because you would think off a loss, they might not even, but then again, UFC can put some shit in contracts that say this is valid upon the fact that you don't lose the fight after this contract. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm not trying to slam UFC, but anyway, yeah, man. I think most everyone would love to see a Masvidal win. He's an underdog. Colby has that heel image, although a lot of people have pointed out that it really is just like a pro wrestling heel image, that he's been pretty chill to most people he talks to and pretty respectful. Damn, it's hard to say. I wouldn't want to see a super boring, long, drawn-out fight. I wouldn't. This is going to be a test for Colby. I'm torn on this one. I just think that
just take Colby, man.
I was just going to say that. I just was going to finish. I was just going to finish, Garrett, and say I'm going to take Colby. I think it's a tough fight, and I wouldn't be surprised if I'm wrong. But I don't have any love for any crazy shit that Colby says that pisses people off. I don't have any love for a heel image. I've never been that guy that wants to be someone that fucks with people or that's sarcastic or like that. So I don't have any love for that. But as far as I just almost think the younger man is just too good in this case with the wrestling. But then again, I could be wrong. Wouldn't mind to see Masvidal win it. I want to see some excitement, though. Love to see a great fight, and I think that we will see.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
Yep. Sorry. Another reason why I love Masvidal, and one, I understand what he says. I don't like the way Colby. I'm different. I guess everyone's different, but I would never talk about someone's country, their family. Me, for some people can do this and they think this is all a game, but I take everything. If someone ever says anything to me personally, like leading up to a fight, it's personal. Like if you say you're gonna do this to me and you start talking about my wife and stuff like that, this is like real. Like I would fight you in the street, So that's the approach Masvidal has, which is a real approach, and I hope he wins for the fact that, like he said, he said it in one of the interviews that he wants to beat him up and to show that for the younger generation of people, you don't need to see people like this on TV, people that disrespect people, and we're all fighters and we get in there and we fight, but at the end of the day, you have to respect someone, their religion, their family, their country, things like that. So, I hope Masvidal wins for the fact, one, because I love him, two, because, it's almost like a good overcoming evil type situation.
I agree with you, and I agree, and I totally, I don't like the fact that he's gone too far and, saying some nasty shit is, I agree. There's no room for that in our sport. It's not pro wrestling. It's not fake. You guys are out there shedding real blood and sweat, if not tears. The old saying, blood, sweat, and tears. And I don't like anyone to be disrespectful like that. Yeah, that part, fuck that shit. I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I mean, I don't want anybody talking shit about my family, my kids, or everything of the sort. Talk shit about me is one thing. Talking about my family, my kids that have nothing to do with it,
or your nationality or your race or whatever,
or your race or what anything. It doesn't need to get that personal.
Yeah.
You're gonna fight regardless. You're gonna get paid regardless. I mean, you don't need to take it that far. I mean,
100%.
I understand what he's doing. He's trying to get people to want to see him fight. Because if he doesn't do that, no one wants to see him fight. Because he's not the most exciting fighter out there. He's not finishing people. He's going in there. I mean, the last person he finished was Tyron Woodley because he broke his own rib. It's not like Kobe went in there and broke his rib. He didn't do anything. He took him down. He twisted one way and broke his rib, and that was it. I mean, he's not an exciting fighter. He's not finishing people. He's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong. But, he's not going there. He's not exciting. No one wants to see him fight. The reason why this is extremely exciting. People are buying this pay-per-view. It's because of the other half. It's Jorge Masvidal. He's the reason why he got another fight contract. It's because everybody wants to see him fight. Win or lose, people want to see Jorge Masvidal fight. Just like people want to see Conor McGregor fight, win or lose. He's got the draw. He's super exciting. He's a great fighter. He knows how to talk. He's got the perfect package. But moving on to the fight. Colby Covington, he's great everywhere. We've seen it. The pace, the pressure, the cardio, the wrestling, the striking has been improved when he's gone over to MMA Masters. He's getting, more of that one-on-one training that's really, I feel like, helped his game a lot. He's progressed a lot. He's looked good in both of his losses against Kamaru Usman. Where I do think his fault is he's been knocked down in 4 times in those 2 losses. So we see a little chink in the armor. If he keeps this fight, long on the feet, if he can't keep Masvidal on the ground and hold him there, control him against the fence, rinse and repeat of their takedowns repeatedly for 25 minutes, I just don't see how he's going to win this fight on the feet. He's gotten better on the feet, and I get that. But I think Masvidal is too seasoned to lose to Colby Covington on the feet. I mean, he's got the power. He's got, the diverse striking. He's got the body kicks. He's got more to his striking than Colby.
Much more experienced in craftier. Yeah.
Exactly. And I just think he's, I don't think Colby has it. I mean, he has a volume advantage. I do. But I just don't think he has a technical advantage on the feet. I just think if Masvidal cracks him, he's going to go away. I have Masvidal winning this fight. I have him beating him by knockout. And I had got Masvidal back early about, I want to say maybe a couple days ago, plus 300. When the hell was the last time we saw Colby Covington look like a minus 350, minus 400 favorite against against Tyron Woodley, who was on his way out? After that, he started boxing, Jake Paul.
It's rare, yeah. Now I want to make sure we're not holding Tony too long here because we went 15. 20 minutes.
We're good. We're towards the end, so we're okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, I appreciate it. So Garrett, you have a last thing to say on that?
No, appreciate you though.
All I gotta say is I got Jorge Masvidal winning this fight. I got him winning by knockout.
Yeah, I think sometimes some live betting could work. Tony, if you ever done a live betting after the fight starts, you can see maybe if the fight goes one way and then one of the guys all of a sudden goes from being like a favorite or a close, and all of a sudden he's like plus 300 or plus 400 because the other fighter is doing well. Just jump on that guy, and sometimes you can make a killing on the comeback. When all of a sudden that guy just starts to turn the corner and make his adjustments. You know what I mean? So that's something that could be interesting on this card because there's a lot of odds that are too high, but that can change if, in the live betting. But always be careful with betting. But Tony, I really appreciate you being here, man. Do you have – no, you just fought a month ago. What?
Right. No, I just want to ask you, what's on the horizon for Tony Gravely?
Right. Since you fought a month ago, nothing signed yet, or are you in talks? Anything you can give us a hint on?
Yeah, no, I fought a month ago. I haven't heard anything yet. I would like to fight, probably like April, May, if possible, but I've heard nothing yet. I've told my management, when I want to fight. So, and Ali does a really good job of, making sure we, about when I say I want to fight, it's usually something usually comes up pretty close. So hopefully, we get that going. So can ride the win and into another one and into another one, into another one. So that's the goal.
I had one more question because we talked. You were on my other show, my KJ MMA show with Ryan Jarrell, my boy over there. So I just wanted to know, we talked about the guillotines you had to go against in your last fight. I think the guy threw out the most guillotine attempts like in a single UFC fight. Like I wanted to know like how, what was your mindset going through fighting through all those crazy guillotine attempts?
I mean, it was something. It was what I expected. Exactly what kind of what we expected for sure. The couple of weeks before the fight, especially the week of the fight, we drilled nothing but cage. It was pretty much exactly how the fight went. It was off the cage, just making sure I switched. If I shot a double, switch to a single leg with my head on the opposite side of the body, and making sure that when I go down, that I'm on the opposite side of the body. And if for some reason, like I said, right after the fight, the first, I think Colin was the first one to actually interview me right after the fight. And I went back and I watched the fight, and it was a front kick that he threw, and you can barely see it because it's very subtle. Didn't land, just the toes flicked, just the toes, and got me in my I think my left eye, and then I got in. The first guillotine was pretty tight because that was where he wanted. That was exactly how he wanted it. But I get put there a lot in practice, which isn't a good thing, but I guess a good thing in the long run to have it done there. That way, when I get in the cage, it's not so bad. But I just tried to focus on my breathing, fight the fingers, get my legs out, get his legs past my hips, and that first one was his best attempt, and everyone after it kind of got less and less and less, but. There's a lot of times he had my head, but not much of a choke. And my coach, Steve Bruno, he says, it's not a guillotine unless you tap. Otherwise, he's just holding your neck. So he held my neck a lot of times.
Absolutely. And that was a great card. Yep, that's right. It was right in Anaheim, and I'm based out of Los Angeles. And I remember I was right there. I'm so happy to talk to you. You made a great impression. You looked amazing. And, you've got a good division. 135's got some great fighters there, but I know you mix in real well. And are you healthy if they wanted you for a few weeks from now, or are you hoping maybe for April or May or any preference?
Yeah, I mean, I'm healthy. I'm healthy and I'm still staying in shape because you never know when a fight may pop up, and it's either a fight you really like or just a good opportunity. So I try to stay in shape because I remember I've always been like this. I've always wanted to stay in shape, and when I was a little younger, it's easier to stay doing the same thing the entire time because the older I get, I'm not old, but I just turned 30, and I can see the difference in my body. You can feel the difference. You have to train different ways. Now it's more of like learning how to more isn't always better. Sometimes you do need a rest and things like that. So, but I still stay in good shape, and because I remember right when COVID started. They start asking about fights, and I had to turn down 1 or 2 fights because I wasn't able to train, and I, wasn't necessarily my fault, but I could have been doing more, but I just didn't have the opportunity to train like I wanted to feel comfortable to fight. So I try to make it a point to not be in that situation again. So which wouldn't be that extreme, but I'm always in pretty good shape, and if I'm not fighting, I'm helping someone else get ready for a fight, which helps me stay in shape. So. If something comes short notice, I can be ready.
Awesome. You're a young man at 30. You're right about the same age as Garrett Kerman here. One of the things he likes to do out in Florida is go for a swim in the Everglades. Now, he wouldn't recommend that to fighters because you got to be really careful with those crocodiles and alligators.
Yeah, Everglades I'm on the other side. So.
Oh, you can't get there. Because Garrett was going to invite you to come swim in the Everglades.
He's just talking.
He was going to invite you to come swim in the Everglades, Tony, but it's dangerous. A little bit too dangerous. That's one thing. Only Garrett Kerman does that. Yeah. And, once in a while, he'll even swim in a Speedo in the Everglades. And that's I'm going
to go, no, I don't.
More aerodynamic.
Exactly. But anyway, Tony, what's the best social media place for people to support you?
Instagram is probably the most. Instagram and Twitter, it's Tony Gravely 135. I appreciate the support, the likes, the shares, any support. I appreciate it all.
Absolutely. Well, you are a class act, Tony Gravely. Always appreciate you. You're one of the really good guys in MMA. And, I like to see the good guy finish first and win. And I think you're going to keep on doing that, man. So, I'll let Garrett talk, but I'll finish by saying just keep up the great work, man. We really appreciate you a lot.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming on. We definitely want you on again. Like always, this is my second time having you on. I definitely want you on as much as possible to help you get exposure. And, we love your insight. We love that you were able to come on and break some fights for us. Makes people some money. That's what we're here to do as well. But yeah, that's our show for this evening. And guys, please go like and subscribe to Vegas Odds YouTube channel. And we will see you all next week. You guys have a great night. We are out of here.
Peace.
See you guys.